Hey, everybody, welcome to Top Chef Fantasy League, the podcast whose hosts would really struggle if they couldn't have dairy.
Oh, God. Well, I can't.
You can't? Okay. I really thought that was going to be I should have checked in with you before that intro.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's okay. I have lactate and I still have
Okay,
dairy.
you can still partake.
Yeah,
Great.
it's fine.
Well, I'm your host and commissioner, Mike Cablon. With me, as usual, is my co-host, Sierra Cato. Iffy is out this week, so we have a guest with us today. She is the writer and executive producer of Vida The Vet, a kids show you can watch on Netflix now, or your kids can watch on Netflix now. Also the writer and lyricist behind House of Cleopatra, a new musical playing at the Edinburgh Fringe Festival this summer in Edinburgh, Scotland. Please help me welcome Laura Kleinbaum.
Hi. Yeah, everyone should come to Scotland. It's really easy to get there.
Everyone should come to Scotland.
Yeah.
It's a hop, skip, and a jump across the pond.
The flight is so cheap.
Nice.
I can't tell if that's sarcasm or not. I have not looked at the flights yet.
No, they're really expensive.
They're really expensive, yeah. Okay.
You could fly, somewhere else and then do the inter-European travel, which I feel like is always cheaper,
Not with the UK anymore because of Brexit.
Well, you can fly to
see.
London.
You can fly to London.
Right.
This is a travel
maybe
podcast
that's better.
now.
Yeah. I don't know. Kayak.
Sierra, what did you bring us? What are we drinking here?
Oh, yes. So, courtesy of Dylan, a bit of a cold brew tea, white tea specifically.
It's delightful.
Yeah, we got into it, honestly, because we watched that episode, not this past episode, but the one before Restaurant Wars, where Danny was doing the cold brew tea, and they both kind of had their green tea drinks, and we're like, oh, well, we have loose leaf tea. We could do that.
This is really nice.
And, you just steep it overnight in cold water, put it in the fridge, get a jug going. And
it's a consistent color, unlike Danny's.
Right,
Some
that's
glasses
true.
turned out like water, but this is very pleasant, and now I feel hydrated and ready to do this show. First thing I want to talk about was an unsubstantiated rumor that we heard this week, which is that the next season of The Traitors might feature Kristen Kish.
Oh, yes. I read that on Instagram.
Wow.
Not confirmed.
Uh-huh.
But if this were to happen, what are your thoughts?
Well, to me, she falls into the host category where I'm like, she's not a reality star.
Yeah.
Like, if it was one, I thought you were going to say one of the contestants. If it was whoever, was the runner-up of Top Chef this year or something.
Right,
Or,
yeah.
or David Murphy or somebody,
Sure,
somebody dramatic where it's like
a villain.
Yeah, that feels like the more, she seems like she's like a professional. Like
She's
she
above
would
it.
be,
She shouldn't be stooping to that
alongside, Alan Cumming.
Yeah. If that rumor is true, run, Kristen Kish. Get out of there. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Unless you're hosting with Alan Cumming. But
Right.
even then, you're going up against Alan Cumming. He's so iconic as the host of that show. You
Right.
Can't really...
I don't think she's nearly as famous as Alan Cumming, though. I'm
Sure.
surprised that she doesn't want to, do some chefing in the off-season.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, yeah, you're right. Yeah, maybe unless they have like a new part of Traders where they introduce like a cooking part or something, and then she's a host of that. That could be
completely
cool.
new format for the show.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, yes, I guess it works pretty well as it is. So.
Yeah.
But
no. I think that she has, once you decide to host the show, you can't, you've entered the same realm as like Tom now, where it's like you can own restaurants, you can consult, you can kind of do like big events, but you can't kind of everyday cook. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think she's going to get fired. I think she does a really good job. But if she did this for 2 seasons and then she got fired, I could see being like, oh, okay, I'll do the Traitors.
Mm-hmm.
right, that could be scandalous.
Then you're
and
trying
fun.
to come back.
It might be this sort of NBC, Universal Peacock cross. Like maybe she has to obligation wise or
Contractually,
something.
they're like, we
yeah.
got you for one other show.
Yeah, it's like we got to cross pollinate, get Traders fans to watch Top Chef, vice versa. I have heard some other Traders gossip as
Okay,
well.
hit us with it.
Well, I heard that Tom Sandoval might be in it,
absolutely.
which would make total sense.
Absolutely, because you want villains on that show, and no one else is
yeah.
offering Tom Sandoval money to do anything right now.
Right, and I mean, he I think especially with those shows, and his horrible reputation, it's like you just need to keep getting beat up on TV, and then figuratively or for real.
No, famously he did what's it called, World's Toughest Test.
Oh yeah,
where he literally got
physically tormented. Yeah, so I think it's that makes sense, right? So it is some big stars, so maybe they are upping the ante, and then Kristen Kish would be more interested in that regard. I don't know.
I would want there to be other people of her caliber. It would have to be like other high-level hosts of shows. She can't be like the only host. You know what I mean?
Yes, but I will say, though, more people know Tom Sandoval than Kristen Kish.
Sure.
I mean, tons more.
He has
his own scandal named after him.
Scandoval.
You are correct. Don't forget to hold the mic just sort of like like a microphone. There we go. Okay, initial reactions to this episode. We live in the same house, me and Laura, so we have roughly the same reactions here. I'm curious to hear what you thought.
Oh yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty exciting. We had some like fun different winners, obviously, like at the top, so that was cool. The quickfire was. We had a quickfire, which was nice, to get that
nice
in there.
Change of pace to
nice
get a quickfire.
Yeah, nice to get that going. So yeah, it was good. And I honestly, I think I for sure don't know much about indigenous cuisine, so I learned a lot, and that was really cool that they highlighted that. So yeah, I think quality episode. It felt like really down the middle for like a Top Chef regular good old episode.
I did want to talk a little bit about the indigenous food. I do not portend to be an expert. I am far from it. But the one near brush that Laura and I had was that a couple years ago, we went to Minneapolis and did not eat at Awamni, which is the restaurant of Sean Sherman, the sous chef who was the guest judge in this episode. So a couple things there. One, I was like, why are they bringing the chef in from Minnesota to the Wisconsin season? But then I was
how
also
dare
like,
they? But
how
yes.
many
It is like right next door, right?
It's right next door, and also
Minneapolis.
how many notable indigenous chefs are there in this country?
Sure.
Which is not a good thing. I'm not advocate, but I just mean,
Yeah. Also, we wanted to go. We couldn't get a reservation.
Yeah, it was impossible. It was like white hot at the time.
Oh, wow, yeah.
It still is. And I'm sure it's great.
Even more now.
Right.
Also, I was thinking, because I was like, sous chef, but Sioux, the Native American tribe chef, right? But because I think I heard that, I thought like sous chef, like
Sioux-on.
Yeah, or Sioux-on, or like whatever the ranking of the chef.
Oh yes.
SOUS,
okay. Wow,
French.
a lot of Sioux.
I know.
Here.
But yeah, Sioux-on.
Yeah.
I didn't even think of Sioux-on. So yeah, a lot of Sioux.
Yeah. If Sue were born into... I'm not going to go down this road. That's so stupid. Sue... The sous chef? Okay, we're done. Okay, here we go. Let's dive into the episode. The episode opens. Everyone's in the stir room. It's still kind of like they've got this restaurant war hangover happening. Two big beats to me jump out here. One, Manny's beating himself up. He's like, I feel like I let Kalina down. You know what I mean? Because she was the executive chef for their restaurant wars. And this kicks off to me a narrative where throughout the episode, I'm like, oh man, Manny's going to go home.
Oh, sure. They
did. Because every few talking heads, he's like, they could send 2 people home. I know I'm on the bottom. And I'm like, once your head's not in the game...
He's getting tired.
He's getting tired.
You can see him. They get tired at this point.
Yeah. I mean, Kalina fully owned it. She was like, I am tired and I'm done.
Yeah.
And Dan says it in this episode too, although I think for him it means something else because of Kennedy's disease, but he's like, my bones are getting tired.
Right. And the sort of like the fact that they feel a responsibility towards each other at this point. And so if some friend goes home, it's like, then if they go home, then I could go home.
Yeah.
That's
it takes
like
an
more
emotional toll, a mental toll. The other big beat is that they showed Savannah with like her little ideas on her mirror in her hotel room. And I was like, oh shit, has Savannah secretly been like super strategizing this whole time?
Well, isn't she also the one that her boyfriend gives her challenges?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's like she really treated this like a title fight where she's like, I gotta do some training, then I gotta get there, have my game face on. And I feel like she's kind of been in the middle this whole season.
But she's in the game.
She's in the game.
She's definitely picked up, as we know, some speed. And then, writing on the mirror, too, is also very funny to me. It's very beautiful mind, It's like, it's your classic, you need a shot through the window of them being like, I figure out the algorithm, social network,
She never leaves anywhere without like a dry erase marker.
Right. Yeah, to write on like the worst possible surface, which is a clear window.
All right, so we move on to the quickfire for the episode. All 3 judges are standing in a cranberry bog. Amazing imagery. Perfect. Kristen reminds us there's no more immunity. And extra twist, Gail and Tom are now joining us for the quickfire tastings. And your quickfire dishes are factoring into the elimination decisions. How do we feel about this?
Well, I feel like before, if you won, you would get immunity. So if you were good at the quickfire, it helped you. And now if you're good at the quickfire, it helps you.
Not much has changed.
Yeah, I kind of forgot. I kind of thought they said that already this season, so I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I guess from now on, all right.
Yeah. Once they said it, I was like, I guess that's different, but it doesn't feel different. Even if I know in my bones it's different. Yeah. You know what I mean?
They also just keep going hard on like the rules are changing, just so you know it could come at any moment.
Yeah.
That's it's been a big theme.
We bring out 5th-generation cranberry farmer Rochelle Hoffman to guest judge. The quick fire challenge is to do cranberries in a unique way. there's a $10,000 quick cash prize. They didn't say there was a sponsor. I don't know if you saw this, though. There was a commercial that was like from Wells Fargo that was like, and don't forget, all the quick cash prizes come courtesy of the Wells Fargo Act to Cash
I must
credit card.
have missed that.
So it's this weird, they don't say, I don't know why sponsorship
Who do we trust?
is so
Also,
interesting to me.
Cranberries. Cranberries are the sponsor. Like, I feel like it's like the cranberry farmers of America.
Yeah. Like avocados
Big
from
cranberry.
Mexico, like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Cranberries from Wisconsin.
Ooh.
Our favorite dishes in the quickfire are Dan with his salt and pepper scallops with the cranberry red curry and herbs, Michelle with her cranberry beet soup with seared foie gras, and Danny with his cranberry poached sea bass with cranberry panade. I didn't know it was that hard to juice cranberries.
I guess so. They're kind of like
They're
tough.
a hard berry.
Yeah.
It like makes sense. When I saw him doing it and he was like squeezing and getting so little juice, I was like, I guess that makes sense. But we drink so much cranberry juice in this country. I was like, surely it has to be easy to harvest.
They got to get that hydraulic press thing going.
Yeah.
Just,
You need like
really,
professional grade
industrial,
machinery.
Yeah, I guess.
So our winner was Danny. All that juicing paid off, and now his brownstone fund is up to $43,000.
Nice. It'll buy him one step.
Or like a brownstone in mid-America.
Oh,
Yeah,
sure.
but he's a New York
you're
City
right.
chef.
It doesn't-
Yeah,
He's
I'm,
not-
I'm just trying to help him get the brownstone.
Yeah. Listen, buddy, don't be discriminating where your
Brownstone's a
at.
brownstone.
Yeah.
Down at the bottom, we've got Laura with her cranberry and walnut, Pheasant which ate a little sandy, Amanda's corn and cranberry hoe cake. She knows she should have done more, and she didn't. And Manny with his pork tenderloin and a branberry and cranberry sabayon. Again, he was on the bottom. I was like, man, he's going to go home. I don't know. But we know that these are going to factor into the elimination challenge. We introduce Indigenous chefs Sean Sherman and Elena Terry. Kristen is very impressed with the fact that Sean Sherman has 3 James Beard wins. I love it charming Kristen off the cuff.
Yeah.
She was like, oh, shit, congrats.
Yeah. Good, candid stuff.
Yeah.
Save it for traders, Kristen.
Save it for the traders. The elimination challenge is to do modern dishes using only indigenous ingredients. This means no dairy, cane sugar, wheat flour, pork, beef, chicken, a whole bunch of other stuff. So there is no shopping for this challenge, just one pantry that is curated by our guest judges. And of course, I wrote down Dan got really excited because he knows one of the guest judges.
Oh my God.
Of course.
It was
Every
really
time.
milked. It was so funny.
Yeah.
Classic Dan.
But then they surprised the contestants by giving them a little meal. And my primary thought as they were all eating together was, oh, fuck, that looks good.
Oh yeah. Looked great. I feel like it was cute. They're all like in uniform still and like taking notes.
You could tell
and-
they literally just went from one room to the other. It wasn't like the next day.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, shit, we're
Right.
eating
Okay.
now.
Time to eat. Hope I'm hungry.
Yeah, exactly. It did make me think we got to go back to
We
Minneapolis and
have
eat it all.
to. Yeah. The flights are really cheap.
Okay.
Yeah, that was why we went.
That's
It was
good.
the cheapest
Sun
trip we could
Country.
take.
I feel like Sun Country sometimes goes there.
Oh,
Wisconsin. Oh, anytime I fly to Wisconsin,
sure.
Sun Country was
I've
big.
never taken a Sun Country flight. Is it closer to like a Spirit Airlines or like a?
Yeah, but
Frontier?
nicer. I think it's I think
A
it's still
Frontier.
even nicer though because, and again, maybe just my experience, but I think because they're doing fewer flights, maybe it's just a little less like to juggle. You know, they're not. They're able to take a break and make sure the planes have the doors and stuff.
Oh, that's so
Low bar, but they're clearing it.
Yeah, hey.
Planes have doors.
That's all
on
we can
Sun Country.
expect.
The few notes that I took on the cooking before we get to the actual dishes, Amanda says that, we haven't really talked about the culinary impact of colonization in America. And I was like, that's true. I love that thought. You know what I mean?
Oh man, yeah.
The
Huge.
fact, I think that it's not outside the grasp of like a layperson to think like, oh, fine dining is a lot of like French and Japanese cooking. If you look at the Michelin Guide, it's a lot of French and Japanese cooking. But when Sean Sherman's like, we need to look at indigenous foods not only here but on a global scale, I was like, fuck yeah.
Yeah,
I am kind of
yeah.
curious what global indigenous foods look like,
It's true. I really don't think that much about global indigenous foods, and I feel bad.
Well, we just Laura and I just went to Japan, and I remember there was one restaurant on my list that served Ainu food, which is the indigenous people of Japan, and we didn't get to go.
We didn't go.
Now this is a recurring theme. We go somewhere.
gotta go
There's a
back.
cool
We're
indigenous
gonna get a
restaurant.
reservation.
Hopefully, Sun Country flies to Japan.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think also this is like stuck in my head, but I was talking to this one man who I guess I have a bad memory talking to this one man who was like in culinary school. I hope he doesn't
long
listen
ago
to
was
this.
it?
This was like years ago,
Okay.
but like it stuck with me and it made me very angry. And it's the thing where you go like,
Ooh,
oh, if I
we
just
hate
said
this
something,
man.
but I also don't maybe know enough.
Sure.
Where I could have, and I haven't been to culinary school. But basically, he was like saying, "Oh, well, the banh mi is just French. Like it's all French ingredients, so it shouldn't even
Fuck
be
this
considered." And I was
guy.
like, "Do you know anything about what? History? But then I also was like, I didn't say that because I was just like, when you're just like,
you don't possess the vocabulary in the moment.
Yeah. And I was like, well, I don't think that's how food works, and there's colonization involved,
Yeah.
I don't know anything about it. And I'm saying no.
Right. Yeah. I'm like, well, okay, then by that means you just like break everything down and just give it to all the colonizing countries. Like, what?
No, by that metric, it's like, I think most food is Spanish, right? Like they've colonized everyone,
right?
So.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. At some point they were all over. So anyway.
I fucking hate that guy.
Screw that guy.
Yeah, no.
Boo.
I wish I knew who he was.
Yeah, do you remember his name?
I don't. Yeah, I don't think so. Well, if I did,
no one's watching this.
No, I know. I honestly, I think it was like Alec or something.
Alec.
Classic.
Alec.
But also,
You're on our list.
I hope I don't run into him again because it's enough to.
He's right behind you. It's my roommate.
Alec.
Manny made chicken mole for the group. I thought that was very cozy. It's weird that they must do this all the time. I think every night they must cook for each other, and we almost never see it in the edit.
Yes.
And I was like, why are they including it in the edit?
Shocking. Yeah. We were like, oh my God, somebody just has to cook when they're all already competing.
They're not just doing takeout 24/7.
I know. Shouldn't they be served?
Yeah. But I thought it was nice.
It's adorable.
Very sweet.
Savannah talks about how she's never had any formal pastry experience, really dancing around our retired point getter, which was like, I don't do pastry. I'm not a pastry chef. I don't do desserts. She just said, I've never had formal pastry experience, but I've practiced a lot. And as we'll see, it ends up turning out, but I thought that was funny.
Also, usually when they say that they don't have pastry experience, they're like, so I'm not going to do it. Or they're like mad.
Right.
And she's like, so I'll just try it out.
Yeah.
Oh,
very positive.
Well, part of her reasoning was that she tried it out with her little mustard green dessert and knocked it out of the park. And now I'm kind of I want Amanda to open a freaky ass dessert restaurant where she serves, Jell-O cake and mustard green dessert and stuff.
Yeah, that would be incredible. You know, new idea. Also, wait, sorry, this just jogged something for me. Separate tangent, but as we know, Amy Schneider, who's like a Jeopardy champion,
Amy Schneider.
She plays Top Chef Fantasy League.
Yeah.
So in Jeopardy,
we'd love to have her on the show.
Please, Amy, please. But she talked about it recently because I guess that Masters is going on.
Oh, okay. She talked
Jeopardy
about it like on
Masters.
air.
Yeah, because when they do the story, so like, and she said like 1,000 stories. So she finally was like, I'm not doing well in this bracket, but also I'm not doing well in another bracket, my Top Chef Fantasy League bracket, and like was also making a plug to be like, so if Top Chef ever needs like a guest, judge to come out and be like, oh, this dish was good,
wow,
like a Brittany Snow, like that sort of.
If she wants the Brittany Snow deal.
A kind of from entertainment, but not in the cooking fields. But anyways, she really sung that out. So that was very exciting.
She's probably going to end up on the Traders.
I mean, actually, they should dip into Jeopardy.
Yeah,
that would be incredible.
I could see a universe where Top Chef does like a game show themed challenge with Amy Schneider as a guest host.
Yeah, that's smart. And then they could do like, what is Cranberries or something, like that would
what
be the
is
what is Cranberries,
You
that's
should
how
write
you say
for
that. Yeah, pretty
challenge.
good, right?
That's pretty good. Yeah.
Just came up with that.
Professional writer, folks.
Could you believe
She's
it?
available. Let's see. We learned that Amanda went on her first hunting trip last year. She made a bison and venison tataki on that hunting trip. Have either of you ever been hunting?
Oh God, no.
No.
Oh God, no.
No, I don't think so.
I played duck hunt in my cousin's basement when I was a kid.
That counts. Yeah, sure. Yeah. You pointed a gun at a creature and pulled the trigger. So
if you get really close to the screen, you can hit it, but otherwise you can't. That was my experience.
I mean, I guess I've hunted on Oregon Trail.
Oh,
yes, of course.
I got a couple bison or buffalo, and normally would do kill too much to bring onto your wagon. You feel kind of bad. You're like,
it's a waste.
Yeah,
it's
really
waste.
bad.
Yeah, got to use the whole buffalo. Got to stay in one spot. Let's see what else. Okay, Sue talked about his childhood in Korea and said that he got beat, and I was like, okay, that's a weird detour for the conversation. Valid, I get it, but he's only been around for a couple weeks. I'm like, don't lead with this.
Sure. Yeah, that's a tough one.
He said it weird too. Like even the people at the table were like, "You mean you got bullied?" And he was like, "No, my teachers."
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Yeah, this is not an indictment on the country of Korea. This is more like, Sue, be a little more tactful at dinner.
Sue's opening. He has to catch up. He has to make up for lost time.
Right,
He's probably well, maybe if I talk
Diving
about these
into the
trauma
deep end.
bonds,
He does kind of round it out in his talking head where he talks about his parents coming to America and the American dream, and that's all well and good. But
it ended happy.
Yeah, it ended happy. Yeah, he landed the plane.
Right. The producers had to get in there and be like, we need another talking head of you rounding this out, please. Thank you.
Can you give us some positive stuff?
Yeah.
And they're around the table and they're also talking about their spouses. They're like, who else is married to someone else in the industry? We learned that Danny converted to Islam for his wife. So
cute.
adorable.
What a sweetie.
Grew up Catholic. They still celebrate everything together.
Yeah. I looked at it like, well, we still, acknowledge Christmas. That was it. There's like a little Christmas tree. It's like, oh yeah, I think I kind of acknowledge Christmas too. Like, I don't really know, I've never been religious, but it's, it was sweet that they were really like, doing it all.
If this were like at the end of the season, there's the fan favorite chef, and I don't think Danny's in line for fan favorite, but if this were like a couples competition, like, oh god, they're so cute together.
Yeah,
They're really cute,
yeah. Top Chef couples. Maybe that's a new spinoff.
Oh, Top Chef Love is Blind.
I would watch it.
I would watch it.
Ooh.
While we're talking about spouses, nobody said I miss my spouse, or at least not on air. So no points gained there or lost. I can't remember if that's positive or negative, but no pointage for I miss my husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, partner. Everyone gets in their BMWs. They go to the kitchen. I just want to point out this one music cue where Sue was like, being in this kitchen is like being in a mosh pit. And then they immediately played like fucking hardcore punk. And I was like, I kind of just want that sample as a regular song.
Oh, wow. Yeah. I mean, that,
right up my
Dylan
alley.
was very excited about that too. It seemed kind of like the first maybe combination of Top Chef and Med.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. I feel like Manny probably, when he watched the final edit, liked it too because he plays bass. We saw that picture of him as a kid playing bass in what appeared to be a metal band.
Oh.
So there are metalheads out there in the chef world.
Yeah.
Plenty. Another quick note I took during the cook, Michelle was like, I'm going to use this pressure cooker, and I haven't used it before, and I was like, here we go, she's going to fuck up a pressure cooker, and it ended up turning out fine.
I know, because she's so good at everything.
So good at everything.
I also was like, no, but she did mess up her meat in a different way, but...
Right, yeah. Unrelated to the pressure cooker. She actually nailed the pressure cooker part. Got her meat out fine.
She is kind of just like this product. I mean, I know she worked hard and learned a lot, but it's like, it does seem like a lot of things first time, trying something new, and like nails it the first time.
Genius.
Yeah. She had trouble with that pressure cooker. She also had trouble with the little smoke gun, which gave us the wonderful quote, I smoke a lot of things, food-wise. Love that. So charming.
Cute.
Any other notes on the cook before we just get into the dishes? Great. So our top dishes at Judge's table were Savannah with her squash and maple jelly cake with aronia berries, grapes, and plum jelly. I was so skeptical the whole time.
I was like, it's disgusting. It's gonna taste bad. They're gonna hate it.
Because she doesn't even, throughout the edit, she is like, it's, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, no, she was like pretty cavalier. They were like, what inspired you? And she was like, the stuff
What's
that was
left in the pantry.
I was like, girl.
Yeah.
But they thought it was charming.
Yeah, she said it's not like a birthday cake, half Jell-O, and I was like, that sounds gross. And then later on, she's like, ooh, it tastes like a vegan pumpkin muffin. I'm like, still sounds gross.
Yeah, not selling it there, but
She
over-delivered, I guess.
pulled it off. Gail was like, you invented this thing. Everyone's wild about it. They compare it to other dishes where people piled on ingredients. They're like, she used a lot of ingredients too, but it all worked. Right. Sean Sherman said she let the dish tell her what it wanted to be.
I think that was the nice spin on whatever was left in the pantry.
Yes. Yeah. Kristen described it as pumpkin pie and gingerbread, but then you add the sauce and it turns into this whole other flavor profile. And as much as I don't really want a vegan pumpkin muffin, I'm like, I want to try this dish, It doesn't sound good, but everyone's reaction was like, well, it's got to be good.
It's got to be. Yeah, I'm interested now.
I can't even picture the texture of like a half Jell-O, half cake situation. You know what I mean?
I was thinking of like a grainier mochi.
Sure. Yeah, okay. Or like like a really gooey brownie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Look, what we're saying is a restaurant in LA needs to start making a half Jell-O, half cake situation.
Yeah, I guess so.
You got to try that out. Also on top is Sue with his roasted butternut squash, wheat lacoche puree, and a wild herb gnocchi, which they say he shouldn't call it a gnocchi. Also had me really nervous because at first he couldn't get it to hold together.
Yeah, he was running around looking for eggs, extra stuff, and then used the duck egg.
Well,
which
we were
is
talking
cool.
about this. At first he was trying to make little quenelles.
Yeah.
And I was like, why don't you just pipe it? Like if it's that gooey, just like put it in a piping bag and then like cut off little 1-inch slices of it.
Right. It's there like, I don't know. Any rules against that in the gnocchi world?
I think it wouldn't hold. Well, I was very proud of myself because I'm a mediocre cook. And when his things weren't holding together, I was like, he needs an egg. And then he asked for one. I was so happy.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so I'm actually doing better than I thought.
You're better than all the chefs on the show.
Yeah.
Turned out successfully. The duck egg worked. And I thought the nicest little comment was that Chef Jessica Walks First, who was at the little dining table, said, "I can tell this rice came from my reservation. This tastes like home." And I was like, that is the sweetest thing you could possibly say about a dish.
If I were at the table and had like 2 glasses of wine, I definitely would have gotten tears in my eyes.
Oh, yeah.
I have tears in my eyes now, just repeating the quote from last night. And finally, also on top, we have Dan with his sunflower choke with braised goose and aronia berry puree. I did not know you could eat sunflowers.
Very cool. Yeah, I know. I didn't either. And then I feel like, oh man, it was so funny when he was talking to the guy he knew, like at the
Chef
get-go.
Bryce Stevenson.
Yeah, that was. it was like a weird. Like,
hey man, your hair's gotten long. He's like, hey, I got a job to do.
It does that. Yeah, it was like I think this is how a conversation I could see, not seeing someone for a while, feeling obligated to talk to them, and then being like, all right, there's other people in the room, time to move on.
Move past the small talk.
But gotta love Dan.
Sunflower 4 ways. I learned something. Apparently, we don't cook it because it's a pain in the ass to clean.
It did seem so annoying when he was cutting it.
Yeah. But once he cut it down, he was like, they're related to artichokes. And I was like, it looks like a cleaned artichoke.
Totally, yeah. Like
makes
that
sense.
makes sense. Like the where all the seeds eventually are, but like that sort of flour, because I guess artichokes are flour too.
And everyone was crazy about his foam. Kristen said it was one of the only good uses of foam.
Yes.
Yeah,
good textures.
I praise, because it could soak into the sunflower.
Meat foam. That's the key. You want your foam to taste like meat. I thought another nice compliment was that Bryce Stevenson, who granted knows Dan, was like...
bought. No, I'm kidding.
But Chef Bryce was like, oh, I know whose dish this is. Like before anyone said it. Which I think is the mark of a... maybe not even necessarily a good chef, but like an idiosyncratic chef, is that you can look at him and go like, I know who cooked this,
Yeah, they have a clear voice or whatever.
Yeah, if you showed me a frame from any Wes Anderson movie, you would just go like, that's Wes Anderson, which is like, at least there's a distinct voice there, you know what I mean?
Although later they were mad that all of Manny's dishes looked the same.
Which I did think was a weird criticism, because it was Kristen who said it, and I kind of get it, where she's like, it's like a starch and a protein and some sauce, and I'm like, yeah, but that's like 80% of the world's cuisine. You go anywhere in the world, that's pretty much the signature dish, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And Tom was like, well, that's his style. Or maybe Gail.
Yeah.
Right. And did they kind of say like, oh yeah, so like he has at least a clear, like...
Yeah. And I also just kind of like, yes, his dishes tend to look the same. They're, he doesn't do weird forms or anything, but I don't mind that, if you're just going to give me a really good protein starch sauce combination.
Yeah. I mean, isn't that the components of a lot of good dishes?
Yeah, exactly.
I also never thought of it. And I feel like now when he makes a dish, I'm going to be like, same thing again.
yeah, these forms.
Now it's in my head and it won't go away. Our winner for the Elimination Challenge is Savannah. Laura made the comment, oh, great. So they just gave it to a colonizer.
Oh, yeah. I didn't even...
But I'm also like, there were no indigenous chef contestants, you know what I mean?
No, but Sue got to America in 5th grade.
Sure. Yeah, he wasn't here when they were colonizing.
You are right.
But
but she worked hard for
great.
it.
Yeah.
As she said, it's her first win. So finally starting to gain me some points here.
I know. Yeah, no, that was very exciting, because I think she's had good dishes in the past, but maybe each time somebody had slightly better. So it's always been kind of a toss up. Like I was kind of surprised. Oh yeah, it is her first win, and that's great. But like, like the mustard greens one was pretty much a hit, and then she's had some other good ones, and it's all kind of been recent. Like gradually getting better.
Yeah.
So
this is also a valid way. If I had more forethought, I would have looked up the statistics. But I feel like there's a non-zero amount of Top Chef winners who have done the same path of kind of like being in the middle. You know what I mean? It's actually, I think, kind of rare for someone to sort of like be a knockout all-star from the beginning and keep it up. Yeah. Because you think of like Rossica, like she was knocking him out of the park and flamed out,
Yeah, crazy. But yeah, I mean, I think it's the thing too where like, they kind of get the hang, and like if they do thrive in that environment, which like Savannah, she's now strategizing, or she has been. She had the trials with her boyfriend, making her quick fire challenges. So she does seem like one of those people who came in knowing, but also can like build on it, because maybe she does thrive in this sort of like game environment. Whereas maybe your typical like amazing chef, right, would be like, man, this is tough, and I don't know the emotional toll it's taking. Like, is it worth it? I got my time on TV, you know.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. So she wins. She gets an advantage on the next challenge in the next episode. On the bottom, and I gotta say, this is making, wherever Iffy is right now, he is sweating, because all 2 of his remaining team members are on the bottom here. We've got Michelle on the bottom with her acorn squash, polenta cake, braised rabbit, smoked onion, and mushrooms. Okay, here's how I can summarize it. She had perfect rabbit. She put it in the pizza oven to make it crispy, but that dried it out. So she put jus in the bowl to try and add moisture back in, but then the cake got soft. It was just like this cascading thing of like problem after, and you fix one thing and then another problem comes up, and that was a bummer to see.
Although Tom said it was good, and then Sean Sherman was like, no. and I felt like they started like deferring to Sean and the other guests, as opposed to like just being like, we like this,
because they are cooking their food. You know what I mean?
No, I thought that was nice, but I definitely noticed that more this episode than other ones.
The other criticism against this dish was that the smoke was missing, and I was like, girl, you barbecue, you were excited about the smoke, how'd you let the smoke go away? That's your whole thing.
Because it's just a different mechanism. You're just shooting smoke into like a little box, right?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. It's not a full-on barbecue situation.
Right.
You're shooting smoke into a little box.
Classic.
Also on the bottom, we have Amanda with her elk tataki tartare, confit mushrooms, pipián rojo, and a duck fat tortilla. But the big criticism was, is it tataki? Is it tartare? Is it a taco? Is it a mole? It's a little bit of a...
When I saw that one, I was like, oh, I love that dish. And like when the judges didn't like it, I was like, I still love it. Like I could just tell that I would like that. I think it's really good.
Yes.
Like they also were like, we're so confused, but like it's not that hard to understand what it is.
Well, I would argue that if it were just, let's say, okay, they keep harping on like tataki tartare taco, right? Let's say it was a tataki tartare, that I can at least sort of understand. Once you add a tortilla, then it's like, am I supposed to scoop this semi-cooked meat into a tortilla? Is it a taco with undercooked meat? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I feel like tortillas are served with lots of stuff, and you can put it in, or you can dip it. You can do whatever you want.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I guess then it is just sort of like a marketing problem, which they have gotten other contestants for in the past by saying like, if you're going to serve me this, call it this, because it's not whatever you called it.
Yeah,
you know
like
what I mean?
That is important.
This episode with the dumplings.
Yes, gnocchi/dumplings.
Right.
Yeah.
I think also like thinking about the restaurant wars, like when they're like, oh, you say you're a fusion, but then, the problem is sometimes it's all one side of that fusion or the other. And then
right.
So maybe it's about also
the sprig of cilantro problem.
Is it just one ingredient from the thing, and then that's not enough from the taco or from the, tartare or whatever. Right. Sometimes, but I don't know. So it does feel so subjective. I think also coming back to like this particular episode, I feel like because we were talking about indigenous flavors and foods and things that I don't know anything about, I was like, oh yeah, it is like, it just highlights how subjective everything is. And it's like, and especially if you're talking like, some culture colonization coming in, like really changing everybody's palate, and then being like, okay, great, now let's judge based on this other
now it
palate.
Tastes good to us. Then it's like, well,
I mean, I feel like it just highlighted like, oh yeah, this is also subjective. Even when the judges seem to come away with like very concrete critiques, it's like, you could probably go in there and be like, actually, I love this.
Yeah. The other thing I want to point out, at judges' table, they were like, what was wrong with your dish? And she says, yeah, the sauce is too heavy. And Tom says, you're doing our job for us.
Yeah.
And I bring this up because we've talked on this podcast before about how, like, if you own your mistakes, that might save you some grace.
Right. I thought that was like, oh, cool. They'll be confident in her knowing exactly what she did wrong, and that'll like help her move forward.
But it did not.
It didn't.
It would have if they weren't so like beholden to the getting two people off the show on one of the episodes.
Yeah.
This was like the last time they could, maybe.
Yeah, I feel like it's been hanging over their heads, and they had to
dark
do it at
specter
some
of like,
point.
we have to eliminate two people.
There aren't enough episodes.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah, and then I think the next, they said on this Last Chance Kitchen that the next one is the finale, so somebody has to come back the following one at least.
Yeah, so they really had to balance the numbers fast. Third person on the bottom was Laura with her bad dish. I won't even list all the ingredients. They just said it was way too much happening here. They couldn't pick the flavors apart. Someone described it as one soft scoop.
Oh, no.
Someone said it was a few different dishes on one plate. I mean, look, I'm sure it tasted delicious, but if you're splitting hairs...
looked not good.
You think so?
I mean, it didn't look like Haroset. That was... I don't know. It looked like mushy. And Gail said it was mushy.
Yeah.
So that's my only contribution is knowing about that.
Gail's criticism was Laura thought the challenge was how many ingredients can you get into a dish?
Oh.
Brutal. Amanda and Laura also both had bad quick-fire dishes, which is what led to their demise. I wanted to mention this. Do you remember last week, Iffy said he saw a commercial that spoiled Last Chance Kitchen?
Right.
Did you see that commercial?
No, they showed it again.
Yeah,
No,
They showed it at this point. So, before the elimination happened.
So it even spoiled more than today's outcome, or that
correct?
episode's?
Yeah.
Oh shit.
So it went to commercial. It was like we're at judges' table, we're deliberating.
The hell?
It went to commercial. It came back, it went to commercial, and at the commercial, it was a Last Chance Kitchen commercial.
Yeah,
and it showed Laura cooking next to Kevin, and Kevin is currently in Last Chance Kitchen.
Yeah,
and so it's like, well, we're coming back from this commercial break, but I already know who's going to be eliminated.
Okay. So it was for this elimination.
Yeah.
I missed that, but
insane.
Now we
Stop
know.
editing your shit like that. Bravo.
Maybe they thought you might think they didn't think about it, but maybe you would think that Laura's going to get off at some point, and Kevin will have won enough Last Chance Kitchens that he's still around. It doesn't have to be this episode.
Yeah, that's a lot of mental acrobatics.
No,
but...
I mean...
But still such a spoiler. And I think if they showed it last week, they must have just, not even realized what they were doing.
They didn't.
Yeah, no, they're not.
And then they didn't anybody call in and we got to swap that one out with our other one.
I mean, maybe
crazy.
they are. Maybe, look, write in now. Our large and loyal fan base can write in and petition.
Mail in those letters. They'll get there by next
But that
week.
is not the only sort of Bravo, get your shit together I have for this episode. Which leads me to Last Chance Kitchen, which is a two-parter. And here's one of my little tech complaints. We've talked about how Last Chance Kitchen does not immediately go on Peacock. Very annoying.
Hate it.
Here's the other one. If there's a two-part Last Chance Kitchen and you just open up the Last Chance Kitchen page on the Bravo app, it says watch the latest clip, and it's part 2.
Annoying. I hate the clips already. It's why is it 2?
Yes.
We're here from the show.
Why are you calling it clips?
I know. Why are you calling it clips? And then why you split it up? Because I'm trying to watch, and obviously I'm going to watch both of them.
Yeah.
The Bravo app is notoriously terrible. As a Real Housewives watcher, I can tell you that.
And an everything else watcher.
Yeah, no, I mean, the Bravo app has never worked. They don't care, I don't think.
It's crazy.
There's no one home. I don't think anybody's in that office wherever they code that. Google.
Anyway, so we start Last Chance Kitchen. I just wanted to make a small note that both Laura and Amanda's chef's coats, really cool. Laura had this form. It's it wouldn't look good on everyone, but it was like a short collar, form fitting, long sleeve. It looked like a regular blouse almost.
Yeah, you have to be tall for it.
You have to be tall for it. It was a long torso shirt.
Yeah.
And then Amanda had something that fit her personality. It was short sleeve, big pocket, had a pin on the pocket, sort of just like a white Oxford.
Tucked into her pants.
Yeah, tucked into her white pants with her white sneakers. I'm I love both these these outfits behoove these personalities, chef-wise.
I guess, that's the opportunity to show that off.
The challenge was the classic mise en place relay race. Kevin's really excited because it's an American classic. He never got to do it on Top Chef France. In order, Laura went for the sea bass, the kale, the pomegranates, the parsley, and the bell peppers. Amanda decided to take all the citrus, got eggs, lemons, oranges, cheese. Yeah. That was a weird one. And then limes. Kevin went for the chicken first and then the corn because, once again, he's just so excited to be in America. He's like,
they
when
have
in
corn
Rome.
Here. Yeah. I mean, I'm so glad we have that to offer him. But also, it's, what was I going to say? Throughout this whole, it was so funny. Amanda's talking heads were so ridiculously hilarious.
Sleepy? Yes, we noticed that too.
It was the end of the day. Her eyes were a little slit. She was about to fall asleep.
Yeah, okay. That's what, we're I don't know, or, I don't know what's going on. And then also I was interpreting it does this mean she gets cut because is she not enthusiastic about it? But it was just so funny because she would even be saying something very exciting.
Yeah.
I love this or something. And it'd be half kind of asleep. And then
I'm let her go to sleep and film it in the morning. You don't need to get the shot tonight.
I thought she was annoyed at at first, or like rolling her eyes basically, and then I was like, no, she's exhausted.
Okay, we weren't sure what it was.
Yeah,
she just had to shoot 2 episodes of Last Chance Kitchen after being eliminated for a whole episode,
and then change her shirt,
change her shirt.
Yeah, so much.
So it was a tight race, but Amanda finishes first by a hair, and then we get to part 2. Here's the other thing. When you finish part 1, it does not autoplay part 2. What are we doing, Bravo app?
Yeah, it did the same thing for us. We were livid. It was just like classic complaint. I'm like, they'll be hearing about this on the podcast, you know?
It's also like basic quality, like QA, like... No one else is catching this?
It's got to be simple. Yeah.
They don't care.
They don't. Yeah, they do.
Bravo do not care. They don't care.
The Bravo app, I think, is like, whatever, guys, watch Peacock.
Yeah.
You're lucky this is here. We didn't even realize this was here.
Yeah, they might be deliberately sabotaging it so that you can corral all the numbers to Peacock because that's what they want to have.
I mean,
but then Peacock doesn't even have the thing, so I need that
Put it up
first,
on Peacock.
and I will gladly watch Peacock with ads. Also, I feel like they in those stupid clips, it's like then they recap it, so it's like, okay, great, part 2 finally clicked out and back in, and then now I gotta rewatch the whole
here's
intro.
What you just saw, and it's like, I know,
let me go right
here.
in.
Anyway,
so many complaints.
The challenge is to make one dish using all 5 of your ingredients plus whatever's in the pantry. Amanda, for finishing first, gets 30 minutes. Kevin gets 25. Laura gets 20. Amanda immediately goes, I'm going to make a cake. And I was like, a cake in 30 minutes?
Amazing.
Yeah. And I was like, I guess it'll be a tiny cake. But it wasn't.
No, she made a big, full sheet of cake.
A Costco-sized cake.
Yeah.
And then cut out a little bit. But you know what? She pulled it off. Good for her. Kevin made what Tom described as a French onion soup with chicken. And Kevin's like, you got it, chef. And Laura made a grilled sea bass with kale and tahini spread. Kevin is the one who goes home because his chicken breast is ever so slightly overcooked.
He was devastated.
I know.
I felt bad because I think he was so happy when he heard the French onion soup thing, and he was like, we're on the same page here, me and Tom. And then
he also seemed to really want. I mean, he's been cooking the shit out of these last couple challenges.
I mean, he had to beat Rosca twice. So. Yeah, it was definitely, you could see his face fall. I mean, of course they'll all be devastated. But I think when you get eliminated and you go that hard, and I mean, obviously we saw Kalina feel the same. It's like you go that hard, and then you're like, I'm okay.
I feel extra bad because immediately after he left the kitchen, Tom was like, and next week's the season finale. It's like, he could have made it one more, and he would have had his shot. But anyway, Amanda and Laura moving on to next week for the finale. Points-wise, I have to root for Laura to get back in the competition, but personality-wise, I'm kind of on Amanda back in the competition.
Amanda's my fan favorite.
Yeah. Amanda is a great personality for, all the things. And then, but yes, I understand. And Laura's also been getting the villain edit.
Right.
She's not the most.
Look, I picked Laura at the beginning of the season because I liked her.
Yeah.
And she's been getting like a bad edit, which is why I'm rooting for Amanda. That's how good the edit was. Or successful the edit was.
Well, I also want Laura to come back so I can see the culmination of the villain edit. Because I feel like
what's been the point?
She's a little bad, but like they never really like built it up to like
a big blowout.
Yeah.
I know, like for instance, even like minimal stuff they'll show and it makes her seem like she's not on the same page as everybody or unlikable, but like when they were at that fun meal in this episode, like everybody was laughing at some joke and they cut to her and she's not laughing, and it's just like it makes her, and it's again, it could be
a little like robotic
edit. You can pull from any moment. You can pull from her laughing at a different time, but it was like, why would they show that? It just looks like she doesn't get it.
She really wronged one of the editors on this show.
I guess so.
That's her big sin. All right, speaking of points, let's tally them up. As a reminder, you can find our scoring rules on our Instagram at Top Chef Fantasy League. Today the quickfire favorite dishes were Dan, Michelle, and Danny. That's a half point each. Quickfire winner was Danny. That's 1 point. Judges table was Sue, Dan, and Savannah. That's 1 point. The elimination challenge winner was Savannah. That's 2 points. Last chance kitchen goes to Amanda and Laura. That's a half point each. So at the end of this episode, if he's not here to hear it, that's okay. He gains 1 point. I gain 3.5 points. Sierra, you gain 4 points.
Keep them coming.
I was really hoping that
with Savannah's win.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it really, Dan's been doing great. Danny wins all the money, so that helps. It's a good crew.
You are crushing it. It is not. I would not say it's impossible for me to catch up, but it is highly unlikely.
Yeah, I mean, we can crunch the numbers, but for sure.
See, that's why in my fantasy league, I made it so that if you win a BMW, you get an extra 5 points, and because somebody's going to. So if you had that rule, you would have maybe been able to come back.
If I had that rule, and if someone won a BMW.
Yeah, wait a minute. Has anybody won one yet?
No, but I think
I feel like they haven't done it in a couple of years.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Every once in a while, someone gets a BMW.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It feels like more of a MasterChef thing to win a car.
No, but this show is all about the BMWs,
You're
and
right.
people have gotten them.
They have, yeah, that would be a good one.
I feel like it hasn't happened in a while, but it has happened. It's not unprecedented.
Now that I realize it hasn't happened in a while, I'm kind of like, BMW, what the hell?
Step it up.
You've been giving all these cars, like you need all of them back.
Give away a car or two.
Yeah,
you
get
can
rid of
afford
some
it.
of them. You don't need them all.
So here's our leaderboard as of right now. Iffy's still in last place with 18 points. Me in the middle with 26.75 points. Sierra with a whopping lead at 40.5 points. Again, I could catch up, but
I could.
You would have to do absolutely terrible, and I would have to do extraordinary for me to catch up.
Crazier things have happened.
Have happened. Hey, if you have any thoughts or suggestions, you can drop us a line on Instagram at Top Chef Fantasy League. If you're doing your own Top Chef Fantasy League, cough, cough, Amy Schneider.
Amy.
Please tag us. We want to see your team names. We want to know how you're doing, Amy. Apparently not good.
Well, that's what she claimed.
But I want to know if you're doing like Mike not good or Iffy not good. You know what I mean? For full unedited episodes, you can check us out on YouTube. Thanks again to my co-host Sierra Kato and our guest, Laura Kleinbaum. We'll be back next week. Thanks so much for listening. Bye-bye. Top Chef Fantasy League is hosted and produced by Mike Cablon, Sierra Kato, and Iffy Wadiway. Our theme song is composed by Dylan Van Auken. Special thanks to Jarvis Johnson. Follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Top Chef Fantasy League.